As the kids head back to school, are you thinking about heading back to savings? It's the perfect time to refocus on your home financing with the Sharp Loan Team at Highlands Mortgage. With interest rates lower than your back-to-school checklist, they're here to guide you through financing or buying that dream home you've always wanted. Get tailored service that meets the unique needs of your family. Enjoy competitive rates that make switching a no-brainer. Access expert advice to navigate the complexities of refinancing or making your first purchase. And with their convenient online process, managing your mortgage will fit right into your busy lifestyle. So you ready to learn how much you can save? Join the savvy homeowners of the Triad who trust the Sharp Loan Team to help them with their mortgage needs. Refinance or buy, let's connect and chat about your savings plans today. Visit sharploans.com and take that first step toward better financial health. Remember, school's back in session along with the savings. Choose the Sharp Loan Team, your smart partner in home financing. Call them today, 336-575-9448.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our real estate podcast with Blake Ginther. It is the annual debate episode, right? We're doing debates. That's what people are doing these days.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
You and I are just going to debate various topics, not even anything to do with real estate or politics or anything. I think we're just going to debate best golf ball to use on the golf course or greatest of all time, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods. That we're just going to do that, right?
We're just not going to talk about animals or eating them.
But we do have a lot to talk about related to the local real estate market because, Blake and I, we do these episodes once a month. And Blake also provides, if you want to, on his social media, he provides a lot of market updates in a much more snackable format. If you don't have time to listen to a 20 to 30 minute podcast, you can watch a 1 to 2 minute video of Blake giving his market analysis on a much more frequent basis. But today, we're here to talk about maybe some shifts in our local market trends, right? Blake, let's just start there. What's happened in the last month since you and I spoke and we've started school and we've gotten to the last few days of summer and we're seeing fall temperatures. What's happening in our local area?
Yeah, I mean, so I said right before we hit record, right, that this is the first time that I can say that the market definitely feels different, right? I've been saying same old for a while. And the main difference is, if you were not a buyer who needed to buy, you were losing for the last several years. You just were. It's too many need to buy buyers and not enough inventory. Inventory hasn't changed dramatically. It definitely has continued to creep up a little bit, but like a few months ago we were in the 600s. Now we've in Forsyth County 600 total homes for sale. Now we're in the upper 7s, low 8s. So it really hasn't changed dramatically. Like pre-COVID, it used to always be four figures, right? It used to always be 1,000 plus. So we're still not back to that inventory. I don't know when we'll get there. Maybe by the end of the year, but probably not. But if you are not a need to sell seller, and this is the difference, you are not going to sell most likely. And
why is that?
Because there's only one need to buy buyer for every 5 or 6 listings. Even though there's not that many listings, there's that few need to buy buyers. There's a lot of want to buy buyers. I mean, there's a lot of activity still happening, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of buyers who I don't think they think of themselves as want to buy buyers and not need to buy buyers, but that's what they are. When you say, absolutely, you must be in by blank, if they don't know, then they're not a need to buy buyer. And the average buyer is like, whenever I find the right home. Okay, that makes you a want to buy buyer. And the truth is, you might not be saying this to yourself, but the reality is you're waiting for like a unicorn. And if it's a couple, there's almost always one that is really kind of a need to or strong one. And there's usually one that is just not that motivated.
Interesting. So if you're not a need to sell seller, the recommendation is maybe you shouldn't be selling right now. And what would happen if somebody sold in our current landscape? Are we talking that they're just not going to get the they're not going to get the purchase price that they want?
The average seller thinks of their home as at a higher number than it is, and that's always been true, right? That's not anything new. I think it's just combined with if they're thinking like it's back in 22 or the beginning of 23 numbers, like where everything was going up, then they're in the wrong spot. I think it's probably a third pricing and 2/3 condition.
Mm. So they're gonna have to make their home stand out a lot more than what they would have previously, because they could be fighting with 3 or 4 other homes for that one need to buy buyer.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody this morning who watched this Monday's market update where I talked about this, and he was like, "Man, that's the most fired up I've seen you in a bit on your market update." And I said, "Well, I'm just struggling with that where sellers are saying they need to sell, but they're literally not picking up the dead bugs. They're literally not flushing the commodes. They're literally not mowing their yard. They're just not doing the things." Knowing, by the way, that they have second showings, like knowing that there are people coming back to look at their home for a second time. They didn't change the battery in their alarm, so it was chirping loudly. There were dead bugs in the property.
Oh my
The
gosh.
commodes were dirty, and the yard was nasty. And ultimately, we ended up parting ways. Like I'm not working with them anymore. And they'll find their motivation for the next agent, because sometimes you just need that experience to go, okay, maybe. And then the new agent will be just like a genius, because they'll say, "Hey, are you cleaning up? Are you putting out the 5 needles?" So it's nothing new. It's just, I just think sellers fell into bad habits.
It's the things that we always had to do before COVID, right?
Yeah, and I've been saying it for a while, so I don't think it's anything new. I just think that the new is, for a while there, you might just sell at a little lower number, right? Or you might just get one offer instead of 2 or 3 or 4. And now you just flat out won't sell.
Wow.
Unless you're willing to adjust in price, which most sellers are not.
No. Because I think maybe some people need the reality check, and maybe why you were as animated as you were in your market update, because people need to hear this, because they're not willing to negotiate on the price that they have in their head, because maybe they still feel like this couldn't have changed much from the last 2 or 3 years. I should still be getting very competitive situations for my home.
Our market changed at 2 different. I can look back and the data supports this. The market softened in an unusual time this year. The market started to soften in May. That was super unusual. But I can definitively look back and say that there was a difference between April and May. There just was. And then it's continued to soften slowly, a trickle soften all the way through July and August. And we were like, oh, maybe it'll pick back up after Labor Day. And activity has, but I just don't think the need has changed for most buyers.
Why is that? Why isn't it changing? Why is it still softening gradually?
Well, I mean, I think there's certain we can prognosticate around economy, right? We could say maybe people there's less security in jobs currently, right? We could say overall, discontentment in work environments, monetary position. So some of that is probably that. Also, by the way, the fall in our market is always historically a little slower. And there's less, I think for that reason, there's less job movement this time of year. But it normally does pick up post Labor Day, because I think that summer vacation season, that typical going back to school lull, and then it picks up again. And activities have picked up, but under contracts have not.
Yeah.
Yet. It's middle of September. We'll see.
Yeah. The need to buy people don't usually show up this time of year.
From out of state. Yeah. And that's, you know what, Adam, that's really what it is, dude. Like, honestly, there's just not going to be that many move up buyers right now. There's a few, but they have to really, really fall in love with a home or really, really hate their current home. Right? I mean, put yourself in that position, right? You guys probably wouldn't mind it, but at the end of the day, you don't hate your home.
No.
And you don't really like, you just haven't seen a home that's been like, okay, this could be it. Right. And I think that is probably because that the needle has moved on pricing, and it's probably not going to move back enough to make your adjustment of what is worth it and what isn't.
It's time to get serious about your financial future. It's never too early, but it could be too late to get started. And that's oftentimes the hardest part, getting started. How much do I save? Where do I invest? Do I save for college or retirement? How much for each? And who do I talk to about it all? Okay, we'll keep things simple for now and help you answer the last one. We recommend you begin with a local financial advisor. And that's Jennifer Johnson of Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. She'll sit down with you for a complimentary introductory consultation and go over all of your questions. Get started on the path to achieving your financial goals. Visit 3magnoliasfinancialadvisors.com or call 336-701-1600. Get comfortable with your financial future. Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. Retirement, financial planning, and investments. Securities offered through Private Client Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. Three Magnolias Financial Advisors and Private Client Services are not affiliated. Private Client Services is under separate ownership from any other named entity. So then if you're a need to sell seller, and we already touched on that, pick up the dead bugs, put some pine needles out, just do the basics to make your home seem homey. Beyond that, though, if somebody has to sell because they got a new job and they're moving and they've got to sell their home, what are you telling them to do to make sure that they can accomplish that in a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, I think we're definitely back to doing all the activities and exploring all of your options and talking about timelines, right? So like, are you wanting us to help you paint? Are you wanting, not every seller is comfortable monetarily dealing with some of those improvements. That's why we offer our renovation program, but at the same, some are, but don't want to do it. And that's fine. I think at this moment though, that the price for not doing those cosmetic improvements, painting and light fixtures and maybe countertops, backsplashes, just for sure, forget the cleaning up and putting down pine needles. That is just a necessity from here on. It always was really until COVID, and it always will be again until, unless we have another crazy act. So doing, painting the wood rot and putting down pine needles and cleaning your house consistently, and thinning out your closets and doing the things that anybody who's ever watched a single HGTV show knows, right, is now back to a necessity. But if you really want to get not the number you think, because the number you think is probably 10% too high, but if you want to get a number that is still probably giving you a lot of equity, that's probably 5 to 10% below where your hope is, you're gonna have to change out your light fixtures that are dated. You're gonna have to, or the number will be lower for the foreseeable future. And people go, well, I'll just wait until next spring. I mean, sure, but I'm not going to promise you that our inventory isn't going to continue to creep up, and then we'll get back to a more level inventory. There will be more buyers next spring than there are this fall. I think I can guarantee that. But I think there will be that many more listings, such that I don't know if it's going to be that different.
Yeah, because the ratio that you mentioned might still say the same, where there's one need to buy buyer and there's 4 or 5 homes out there.
That's it. Yeah.
To choose from. And that ratio you may get more buyers, but the number of homes may increase as well. And so you still might get that same ratio. And yeah, you're still going to have to compete as a seller.
And it's still, by the way, this might sound doom and gloom for sellers, but it back in 2010, I moved here at the end of 2009. 2010, honestly, there was probably 20 plus sellers for every need to buy buyer minimum, right? It was totally different
buyer's market.
Yeah, always a vast buyer's market, right? And it remained there until basically right before COVID, and then COVID swung it from a level market into a massive seller's market.
Yeah, because the number of buyers just became astronomical.
Yeah, correct. Yes, and then that changed the seller inventory. That just changed our inventory. And rates staying, we don't have to beat that drum, but rates staying too low for about an extra year was why.
Yeah. Well, let's beat a different drum then related to rates. Let's not beat the kick drum. Let's beat the snare drum here. I hope I got that right in terms of a musical metaphor.
I think you did. I played the drums, by the way. So
okay,
you did. Yeah.
All right. Good.
We're moving from the bass drum to the snare. All right.
Good. You didn't give me a sour face look when I said that, so we're okay. Rates have done what since the last time we spoke?
They have everybody feels confident that the Fed is coming out next week with a quarter. They're going to lower by a quarter. And so most interest rates have already dropped with that in mind. I'll say that some, as of this week, are starting to bake in that they think that they're preemptively. This is what banks do, by the way, right? They always respond to the Fed before the Fed even says anything, right? So they lowered the rates in January, thinking the Fed was going to lower them, even though the Fed said they weren't. And then when the Fed didn't, they raised the rates. So we're pretty certain the Fed is going to drop by a quarter. So the rates have already lowered into the sixes. In some instances, you might even be able to get in the fives right now, because some people are thinking they're going to drop at a half a point. And if they drop at a half a point, you would see the upper fives. I don't think they're going to drop at a half a point. I think they're going to drop at a quarter of a point. So I think that if you can get in the fives right now, you should be hopping. Just take it. Because after they drop at a quarter point next week, you might see rates tick up a little into the mid sixes, mid to upper sixes.
Which is kind of what we projected when we did our episode last month with Ashley. And so, yeah, a little taste of what to expect. But don't expect anything drastic is what you're saying one way or the other.
That's right. That's right. And I think most of our market hasn't been impacted by rates. Everybody loves to say it's rates. I think most of the people have adjusted. I mean, my first home was 6.5. I think, a lot of people's first mortgage was in where we are today. It's really not, I think we're far enough removed that people have gotten over I missed out on the tube thing. And it's like, yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Timing. Sometimes timing works. Sometimes it doesn't. I think my first mortgage was 7.25,
And people, let me just say one thing on interest rates. I think I hear people say, well, we might get there. If we get there, something really, really bad in the world has happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not good.
If we're back in the twos, I don't think we'll be there in my lifetime. And I hope not, because that would mean something bad happened.
Yep. Without a doubt. How much is new construction affecting or not affecting or can affect what we're talking about in terms of current market trends?
So, yeah, I thank you, because I did want to talk about new construction. I think that our current market, Winston-Salem, right? The triad in general is not being overbuilt. So we're not seeing what certain cities are seeing, where their market is almost a buyer's market, if not a buyer's market already. Certain pockets of Florida, certain pockets of, like, I think Austin, Texas is a city that I think has been overbuilt. Phoenix, Arizona, certain cities where builders have just crushed with inventory. We're not there. And our lending institutions here are so conservative that they're squeezing the purse strings a little bit on builders. So that's my concern, is that builders are not going to be building enough to keep up with that demand, because, as I said, a fully renovated home is going to sell. All right, we had one hit the market last week, 30 plus showings in this softer market, 30 plus showings, right? And they did a killer job. New construction is the same, right? People will always want a brand new home, and that is still going to be the number one thing people are moving up to. or down to, by the way.
Yeah.
Empty nesters love a good new home as well. So to that point, I do think builders, that's my biggest concern is banks getting too conservative and tightening up their lines. I am close friends with and work alongside with, both in my developments and with other developments, with builders. Now would probably be a great time, right, to plug the Home Builders Association here in Winston.
Yeah.
They're doing a charity end of October. When is that, Adam?
Yeah, so it's the Home Builders Association of Winston-Salem. They are doing a 5K pumpkin run. Everything with pumpkin in it makes it better, right? I think we can all agree. I mean, when it comes to fall. So, Saturday, October 26th. We'll put all this information in our show notes with links and all that kind of stuff. Harmon Park in Kernersville, they're doing a 5K pumpkin run, and the proceeds of the race will go to support. A portion of the proceeds will go to support the Kernersville Foundation and its mission to give back to local nonprofits. All ages are welcome to join. And again, we've got the link to their website where you can register. Saturday, October 26th.
Awesome. Yeah,
So,
good folks who do a lot of good for the builders, and we all want our builders to continue to do well because we need them continuing to grow our city.
Life is full of celebrations, birthdays, holidays, life milestones, and so much more. And who has been helping generations of families celebrate these events? Our friends at Dewey's Bakery. And even if you aren't planning for something in the near future, you don't have to wait to enjoy something savory and delicious from Dewey's. Maybe you just need something to get you through your Mondays. Drop by every Monday for a free Cake Square Day. No purchase necessary. Just come celebrate the start of a new week. So, if you're hearing this ad on a Monday and you're in your car, reset that GPS and get to one of their 3 Triad locations immediately in Winston-Salem at Thruway and Renolda Manor, plus one in Greensboro at Friendly Shopping Center. And any day of the week, you can find the perfect item with fast and easy ordering options at local.deweys.com. Plus, Dewey's does so much to help celebrate our community. To date, they've given back over $4 million to local schools, churches, and other nonprofits. Your next celebration isn't complete without something special from Dewey's Bakery. Dewey's. Celebrate every day.
you guys do a lot of cool stuff during the fall as well, right? Give you a chance to plug some of the stuff you guys have coming up too.
So I got 2 things that I'm pretty pumped about.
Okay.
That are public facing, and one that I'm super pumped about privately. And the public facing is we're doing Barbie, the movie downtown at Bailey Park next Friday. It's I think our final. Maybe there's one more after this one, but we've done a sponsorship with the city, and oh man, I just had a total brain fog.
Called Innovation in Cinema.
Yes, thank you. And we're doing this co-sponsoring with the movie
Aperture.
Thank you very much. Smart aging moment. And it's been awesome. We did it last year. We're doing it this year. Barbie next Friday, sundown. So probably like 7:30, 7:45. And then the farm event, we do that. That's probably my favorite event that we do all year. That'll be the weekend before that fun run, the 5K Association, the 20th of October. That one's a super fun one we do at Smith Hollow Farm for all of our clients. And then side note, privately, we're the one that I do that I'm pumped for my team, and anybody who wants to look this up, Rock Solid, ROC Solid, builds swing sets for kids with cancer. And this has hit close to home. Somebody on my team had a 2-year-old diagnosed with it, and they have a swing set. They were, I think, the first build in the Triad. And ever since, we've sponsored this at least once, sometimes twice a year. It's just an incredible organization. They give a backpack to the family filled with goods and necessaries when they're first diagnosed, and then we build a swing set for them. Phenomenal team event, right? For you to, if anybody has a smaller organization, a small business with 5 to 10 to 20 people, this is just a killer event to do because terrible. And I must say that we all get choked up, and we leave there feeling inspired. I want to say that this is not a sad thing. This is an inspiring thing. And most of these kids do come through, as most kids with cancer, right? But bottom line is, it's an inspiring, hope-filled thing.
Yeah, because when you're talking about kids with cancer, you don't see a lot of smiles on their face because of everything they have to deal with medically. This is something where you get that immediate gratification from the child, where they get to play with something. And you're talking swing sets, playhouses. The organization is called Rock Solid Foundation, ROC, Rock Solid Foundation, and that's their mission. Their tagline is building hope for kids fighting cancer, and it's a great cause. It really is.
It gives me chills every time. Just gonna say that's something that if you are a small business owner listening to this, or just a human who wants to donate, but for small business owners, you should really consider building a swing set, right? Doing a build. You can donate, and you should, or you can do a build, and it's one of my favorite days, if not my favorite day, every year, because my team comes together. We do it. We build it physically with our own hands, and then we see the hope that is provided.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's a local organization, and like Blake said, you can get a team together of 6 to 12 people. Takes about 2 hours to do. That's not bad. Building a place with that many people, you can get it done in a couple hours, and or you could donate money to help provide a place set that the people that are there can put together, and at least you can make an impact that way. So
get competitive with us, because we're pretty quick. If you think you can beat us in our timeline, like we typically finish by 11.
What's the least amount of time it's taken you to build one?
Oh, we built it in an hour and a half.
Ooh, okay.
We're pretty fast.
The time to beat has been established.
They did say that and by the way, my team makes fun of me. I am, as you might imagine, not the handiest of gentlemen, but I help. I get in there.
What do you help with?
Usually, I try to do a bit of everything, so I can say that I literally did.
You supervise.
In there. I physically help move things. And I usually just make sure that we don't have to go backwards, because that's what happens is you skip a step, and you have to undo, and you can never make that time back.
Yeah, I'm terrible when it comes to that. So I think if I'm out there, I may be doing very similar things to what you're doing. Because look, I'm just trying to make sure that the team gets the best, the most efficient and build possible. Because if I'm doing things, you may be things that you have to undo.
That's right. That's me too. And I'm just usually now like, hey, I made that mistake. Don't do that. Don't skip a step.
All right. Again, the organization, we'll put this in our show notes as well. Rock Solid Foundation, ROC, Rock Solid Foundation is the group that builds playhouses and swing sets for children fighting cancer.
Incredible thing. Dude,
great. Blake, that's a great way to punctuate this episode. Great information. And let's finish it off with giving the folks a chance to find out where they can learn more about the Ginther Group.
Yeah. Please find us on the interwebs at theginthergroup.com, or give us a shout at 336-283-8689, 283-8689.
All right. And if you're going to the Barbie movie, depending on when you're listening to this, that is Friday, September 20th. And actually hope to see you guys there. I think we're going to be able to make it to that one.
You'll see me there. You might not recognize me, though. I'm just going to give you a little hint.
I've heard there's something special planned for this one. So
I'm not going to give too much away. I'm just going to tell you guys.
We'll show up and be surprised like everybody else. All right, my friend. Be good.
You too.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode on the Triad Podcast Network. Our mission is simple: provide information, advice, and stories about the people and places that make the North Carolina Triad such a great place to be. You can find us by searching Triad Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much wherever you like to listen. If you like what you heard and want to support the show and those that contribute, we would truly appreciate a rating and review on your favorite podcast app. It helps spread the word along, as do your shares on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Triad Podcast. To get in touch with us, simply email info@triadpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.